And let's go. Good to see everyone here. John Crestani. Let me know if you can see and hear me all right. I'm going to be what we're going to be doing today is, let me get my setup so that I can see what's going on. What we're going to be doing today is we're going to be analyzing the SEO abilities of Claude versus Codex versus Gemini. And we're going to rate each of these out of 5 stars to understand how well they're doing on an SEO perspective. So what we're going to do is we're going to do this on the Bonfire terminal, which is located here. So we're going to bring that up and we're going to launch Bonfire terminal here, which is our program. And we're going to give each of them we're also going to be using the new feature from Claude Code, which is the voice feature. So here we're going to open up 3 new terminal shells, okay, to launch our AIs in. Now, one thing we have to understand before we start is, we need to, I'm not sure why this is not allowing me to, sorry, my computer's a bit overloaded. So now before we start, the first thing when we're working with AI is we need to make sure our system environment is set up to properly work with AI. If you're on a Windows machine, this is very important. So the first thing is you want to make sure that your paths are set up. What I typed in was simply .env, which is the paths, to view the paths. Now in here we have different folders that allow our AI to be more powerful and tap into other languages for programming that will allow it to be more overpowered. This is one of the reasons why Bonfire should be able to do these abilities better than not using this through Bonfire. So we're going to launch Claude in dangerously skip permissions mode. We're going to launch Codex in YOLO mode. And we are going to launch Gemini as normal. So here we have our Claude set up with a bunch of MCPs, as you see. We have Codex, and we have trust folder, and we have Gemini starting right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to give roughly the same prompt to each of these. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply drag and drop one of my files into here. So I've prepared a handoff file for each of these, and I'm just going to give the same prompt to each. So let's start with prompting it its persona. You are, and then I'm dragging and dropping my persona file into here. You are Larry Ellison, read, and then we're going to have it read the reviews, and then create all SEO pages inside at bonfireterminal.com/Gemini MCPs. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to have each of these run off of roughly the same prompt so we can measure the results of each against each other. So here, we're going to give this to Codex. And then we're going to give this to Claude. Okay. And the project is to create 10 pages each. Okay. So we have this running. If you want to get Claude, so Claude is the main tool that I am working with right now, and it's just the tool that I suggest you use. There's a link in the description. If you would like to get Claude Code, you can get so using the referral link in the description right there. Okay. So here we are, and we see them both sort of working. And let's make this full screen so we can see it moving on. Now, to show you a result of the previous website that I created with this, you can see the website I created at bonfireterminal.com as an example of what I created just this morning with AI. I decided to redo the landing page, and as you see, it's created an amazing page with simple voice prompting. Okay, we have logos. Again, there's certain things that are not perfect, but you see we got a very interesting, descriptive, well-researched page with custom graphics and very cool sort of features and images and SEO keywords, as you see, with just, and I'm no programmer. So that's what we've been able to create, and we're going to go through each of these projects and see how the pages are created. Okay? So each of these programs are running. What we'll see is we will see pages being created somewhere in here, I'd assume. Okay. Now I'm also going to continue this last project, and I'm going to speak to it and sort of give it, tell it to post the pages from the previous project. Hey Larry, I need you to post those 20 pages that we created and post them live. All the images, and make sure that the footer is properly built out to interlink to other pages on the site. Make sure the pages are fully done for SEO. The meta tags, the meta titles, any sort of graph description or images or whatever, and make sure that the favicon is the bonfire logo. It's very important that each of these pages uses the bonfire logo as the favicon. Yeah, all the calls to action on each page should go to the home page of bonfireterminal.com. Ask me any questions if you need any more clarifications. And when ready, do a force open of the site and show me the verses, one of the verses pages. Thanks. So AI take the wheel. So that's how I'm working with it, and I think it's important that we work with AI in a sort of a natural human prompting way. As you see, it's saying it's going to fix the pages, and what we're going to do is we're going to see how this works here. So all of these are working. We have a couple AIs working in parallel. We can see it's where are we at here? We have Claude saying that it's building pages, Bonfire versus Codex CLI versus OpenAI Codex. No, this is, what is this? This seems wrong. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enable voice mode on this. And to enable voice mode, we simply type that in. I'm going to get this going, voice. Why is this not working? Well, it won't let me interrupt the project right now, and I'm just not going to interrupt it. We have, it looks like we have Codex working. Codex, one of the things I notice is that we aren't able to scroll much on the terminal output like we are with Claude, as you see, which is, I think, a really big downside of Codex right now. I'm editing now. So we see we're about 6 minutes into each project. Gemini has permissions issues. And this is one of the problems with Gemini right now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up another window and I'm going to see if we can somehow get, figure out a better way to utilize Gemini. Okay? Because I don't want to keep giving it permissions, to do permissions off mode in Google Gemini. If there are any questions or whatever, feel free to go on. To turn it on while running, Control Y. Okay. So Codex is thinking, and I was surprised with Codex in our last, Gemini in our last project. I thought it did a pretty good job of the image creation and what have you. We see it looks like Codex is coding. We have Claude working. And we have Gemini going as well. Control Y. Oh, interesting. So folks, look at that. So we just got in YOLO mode on Codex with Control Y. So it looks like Google Gemini natively has this feature in. So now we are finally on YOLO mode in all 3 terminals. And we are cooking, folks. We are cooking. We are cooking, folks. Great. Where's everyone coming from in the world? And let's see how this is working out. Cool. Let me know where everyone's coming from in the world. We're going to have some cool transitions here someday soon. I'm working on AI to create some cool transitions for this. We're not there yet, though. So I'll eventually get there. But we have, I'm working on AI to do some of these things. So we'll see. No, the transparency isn't working. Okay, well, that isn't, those effects are not working correctly well. So here we have, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make sure that it knows my FTP information. So I'm going to give each of them just my FTP information once again. Now, what I recommend everyone use for password management, because one of the most important things moving forward into the future, if you're doing any sort of marketing work, is it's password management. as silly as that sounds. And that's using a free open source password manager like KeePass. Now, I use this for all my passwords, and it's offline. It's open source. It has great extensions that work with it, and it's free. And what I'm doing right now is I'm copying and pasting my FTP information into each of the windows of each AI that I'm working with. I'm doing so without, obviously I don't want to share my passwords with anyone. I hope that makes sense. And I'm going to wait until it's off each of these screens until I show my screen again. And here we are. So we see each of them are working, and we haven't got a product yet. We're about, 17 minutes into this project, but maybe we have something. We have uploads going on right now. Now on each of these pages, we're going to want to make sure we're watching. We're getting traffic from, or we're measuring our traffic through Google Webmaster Tools. And what I'll need to do is I will need to set up a property for bonfireterminal.com to actually properly measure all of this. So if you're not using Google Webmaster Tools or Google Search Console, that's what you need to be using. And what we're going to be trying to do is we're going to be making sure that we have as many indexed pages as possible. Okay? So that's going to be our goal, is over the course of it, as we work on SEO, is to get more than, as you see, we have 44 pages not indexed, 1 page indexed. Okay? And we're going to work on increasing this number so that we have thousands of pages indexed. Let's see where we're at with this project. And it looks like our first upload is starting right now. So we should be seeing these pages show up at bonfireterminal.com. Some of them are going to show up here. Oh, look, we have some pages up. Okay, so folks, that's funny. John Crestani versus Ty Lopez. Okay, so it hasn't built out the pages yet, but it's built out sort of the root page. We don't have any images, but we have the first group of pages, which is interesting, right here. Okay. It's building out a website. So if you folks want to see where it's at, we can actually see right here. Okay, let me get this in the chat. Okay, folks. So it's building. It's building. Let's see if we have the next pages ready. Take this off for a second. Okay, so I can't bring up the other Claude. We have the pages are generated and the database is consistent. We have Codex moving along here. Let's see. Now, for our ranking factors, let's see how we're going to do this. For the rankings, ranking factors, I'm looking at SEO keywords, obviously. I'm looking at images, probably the most important thing. Does it have images? I'm looking at SEO keywords. I'm looking at interlinking, okay, within the site. And I'm looking for external links. And what else am I looking for? Just general, no hallucinations, okay? I'd say these are the different things that I'm going to be evaluating these pages by to make sure that they are not slop, okay? So I'd say this is pretty important, and what we'll do is we'll rank each of these looking at, on this chart up here. So let's see where we're at. We still have, it looks like a Python script is running for Gemini, deploying 30 SEO pages and 180 image assets. Is that for real? And let's see what it's creating. Okay. So it's saying it has 180 image assets, and what I'm going to see is if it's where are these image assets? I don't see any of these image assets. Oh wow. So it's generated a buttload of images for us, and it looks like it's just ranking Bonfire against other AIs, but this is really dog awful stuff. We didn't get real screenshots. It got real photos of some of the other gurus. Dan Locke, Gary Vaynerchuk, Iman Godzi, Kevin David, Russell Brunson, Ty Lopez. That's pretty funny. So these are going to be the reviews it actually does of us. Now here's real logos of other companies. It is going to lambast. That's good. So it's getting real images, which is a big plus in my book, because this is what sort of makes pages real. Now we have Claude, which appears stuck. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop it. I'm going to press escape. It still has my password information up there. And I'm just going to ask it, are you stuck? Are you stuck? You've been spinning for hours. And my computer is actually going really slow right now. And let's see. So, okay, it looks like we have our first site up. Okay, we have Codex MCPs. So let's see if we have Codex MCPs up. Interesting. So I'm going to look at the what keywords we're going after. Bonfire versus Codex. I'm not sure that's a good keyword. because nobody's looking for that. I'd say these images look awful. Okay, it did custom create images, but they're awful. It has a custom image here. I like how it did the chart. Okay, notice we have a chart that, you know, and I'll post this on the chat, but Codex did an okay job of creating, I'd say, an interactive element. And I'd say the interactive elements I'm impressed by. Okay. We have interlinking here, which is well done. Okay. So let's look at our ranking factors, and let's actually go into Codex ranking. Okay. So we'll say for images, I'm going to give it 0.5 stars for images. Let's get Is there a half-star emoji? No, there isn't. Okay, so 0.5 for images, SEO keywords. And I'll just say, analyze these pages as an SEO expert according to these 5 ranking factors, with each factor representing a single star out of a 5-star review. Then give yourself a rating for how well you did on each factor and what your total score out of 5 is. So we're going to have it rank itself, which I think is sort of interesting. And I'm going to see what it gives itself a rating, and I'm also going to give it a rating as well. So let's review these pages, because I want to actually have a good rating system for doing this. I want to really analyze it. So images, we'll say Codex is 0.05, right? We'll do ranking factors. .5. It created the images, but I don't think it did a very good job. With them. It had them go out of bounds and all sorts of problems. Codex versus Bonfire CLI. This isn't a good keyword because nobody's searching for Bonfire Terminal just yet. So SEO keywords, I'm going to give it a 0 because what it did was awful. Interlinking, I actually think it did a fairly good job of interlinking. It didn't interlink within the content. We have an external link here, but we have some of these recommended site links at the bottom. So what I'll give for interlinking is I'll give it a 0.5 for interlinking. external links. We have one external link here. I'd say 1 out of 5 is, I'd say there should be, you know, we could ask ChatGPT, but as an SEO expert, what's the proper amount of external links that should be per page? Okay. And 2 to 5, right? So we're looking at like 5 to 10 links. So what I'd say is on this factor, I'd give us a 0.2 stars out of 5 on this particular ranking factor. No hallucinations. Now let's finally look at probably one of the most important things on this page, which is, are there any hallucinations? And that means, is it factually correct or is it just gobbledygook? Community maintained code gen, what GPT engineer does well. I don't know if it did too good of a job, but I'm going to give it 0.5. It doesn't appear that there's any hallucination. So I'm going to give it 0.5 stars. And that has Codex coming in at a, 1.5 star ranking. So what we're going to do is we're going to go up here and we're going to give Codex a 1.5 star rating out of 5. So we have, okay. So I'm kind of giving that an absolutely awful score because it was an awful product. It got us pages up, but what good are pages if they're going to give us just dog, quality product? Now let's move on and let's actually see if Gemini or Codex finished their projects. Okay. Now, here we are, and we're going to look at, so Claude is still finishing up. So Claude has always been my lover. He's taking a really long time on this. I'm not sure why. Now we have Gemini. That is up, and we're going to copy and paste this into our browser, and I'm also going to paste this into the dude fell off hard. Well, you're in timeout. Yeah, we're discovering AI here. So yeah, one of the things I realized is that we can cater to what we think everybody wants or expects of us, or we can forge our own path. And, I could post about content that everybody wants to hear about. But what I've realized is that, everything's changing. So we have to change with it. And at the end of the day, I'm not an entertainer. I'm not, a YouTuber, so to speak. What I am is, and I've always been, a marketer. I'm a kid that got a computer and has been able to make a lot of money with it. And regardless of using my face, that's not how I earned my first millions of dollars. So, and I think it's important to be able to be, for me, I've always been computer first. That's how I made money. It wasn't some sort of confidence play talking on YouTube or talking on social media. I sold products that I wasn't associated with. Nobody knew my name. And that's the goal of what we're doing. It's not just to confidence in ourselves and to other people. I think there's value in giving confidence to other people. But at the end of the day, I believe that working with computers is about skills, and real skills of knowing how to use them to create content, post it, and make money. And which is why this and working with AI is so important for the future of single businesses. So let's look at what Gemini created for us. So Gemini oh my gosh, look at this. So AI seems to want to create a lot of sites. I mean, look how similar these two sites. Huh. Well, they created very similar sites. Interesting. We can see it's even going after some of the same keywords, which is fine, but I just want to sort of compare how we did both of these sites. Okay. So we have one site created by Gemini and one site created by wow, these are extremely similar. This is what Gemini created. Now these images are just awful. We're seeing really dog results from both of these. We saw it got the pages posted, which is, I think, generally the hardest thing. And we're gonna give this a 1.5 as well. Oh, that's awful. Okay. Well, we're giving Gemini 1.5 out of 5 as well, because that is awful. So, but we're getting pages up, but what I want to make sure we do is we submit them to Google Webmasters Tools and make sure we have Google Analytics on. And that's something I'll probably do off stream. Finally, we want to see how Claude does on this project, and that's why we're going to bring up our final project, which is running in the background, which is Claude. And this has been about 30 minutes. We've gotten about 20 web pages up so far, which I'd say is pretty interesting. We're flooding the zone for sure. And I think that's sort of part of the power of AI, is that we can put out so much content. But the goal is we need to be able to put out a quantity of content that is also very good quality. And that has been proven difficult so far, but that is what we are optimizing around. So all 30 MCP pages are reviewed and live. Okay, so let's check them out, and we will check them out right here. Okay, and I will see. I'm actually not sure if I can use voice mode on here with I have to figure it out with OBS Studio, because that's how I'm doing the live streams. What we will do, and I'm just going to say submit all pages to be indexed by Google, and I'm going to do it on each of these. And there we go. So let's look at Claude's output and see what we actually got here. So we see that we have bonfire terminal versus. And yeah, I mean, one of the, well, I'll tell a little personal note about YouTubing in a second here, but it has been different coming back and teaching about a totally new subject. And why have I changed sort of talking about purely affiliate marketing to why am I talking about AI marketing right now? And I understand that may be a little bit jarring for some people who just want me to talk about pure affiliate marketing. And I'll explain why I think things are changing. Not that affiliate marketing isn't the way, it's just that why we have to focus on the tools. So here are the pages Claude made. I'm honestly surprised how similar all these pages are. Now, what I did here was, and I'm going to give this a. I think all of these AIs did a horrible job with SEO, honestly. So I'm going to give them all one. I'm going to give Claude. I'll give Claude a 2-star. I think this was an example of an awful result so far with AI and one-shot prompting and SEO. The way I prefer to do projects right now with AI is I prefer to do projects where I'm spending a bit more time working and really tweaking and thinking about each project. I also like using voice commands to be able to talk to my AI when I'm actually working with it. And that's something I just configured recently and haven't been able to include in, on these live streams yet. I see the capacity for AI to absolutely overtake the current marketing workflow. And if you're not working with terminal AI, you need to, because as you saw with this project, we actually posted websites with we generated images, we posted websites to our FTP, and we did over a page a minute, right? We had 50 pages go up just on this project alone. 50 pages written, images generated, posted online. And the hardest part of marketing, which nobody ever really shows or talks about, is working within the different interfaces and working within all the different software you need to run the business. I've been running a marketing business since 2009. And I've gone through a bunch of evolutions in working for myself and the amount of tools that I work with and what it takes to sustain a solo person business. And something that I've realized is just the amount of softwares you need to stay competitive in business got to an overwhelming point. And I don't know if anybody else sort of felt that. But by working with AI, you dramatically reduce the number of softwares that you need to work with. And it's, in my view, a revolution. And I can go through a little bit here of where I see the future going from a marketing perspective. Now, has anybody here seen Minority Report? Okay. And specifically, has anybody seen the scene where Tom Cruise is working with gesture-based interface, where he's moving stuff around on the screen, And he basically has a custom user interface to work off of. Now, what we're seeing AI's ability is that anything can be a custom interface. And the future of websites is simply going to be chatbots as well. Everything's going to be custom interfaces, and in working with AI, we want AI to be able to create custom interfaces. But in order to do so, we need to have it on our machine, like Bonfire. Yeah, I just say, folks, if anybody here is working with browser AI, let me know. Why haven't you gotten on Terminal AI yet? Or why haven't you gotten Claude Code at the very least and installed AI on your computer? I'd be very interested to hear why anybody's doing any marketing work with browsers and subscriptions. What my goal is to help people transition to working with Terminal AI, because where we're going to go in the next few years is this is going to be the only way you will be able to really work with AI or to work as a remote worker. And here, let's see what's going on. So I'm going to leave it there, folks. That's basically the presentation. If you want to learn more about how Bonfire works, you can check out our website. And it lists sort of a lot of the software that we're using to do the posting, image creation, video creation is free software, and you can see it all in the bundled stack on bonfireterminal.com. You can see all of these softwares are free. Okay. Now we sell Bonfire Terminal for thousands of dollars, $5,000 to begin. And if you'd like to be an affiliate for Bonfire and earn up to 20% commission per sale, or if you'd like to earn commissions on any of our products, make sure you join the AI Marketers Club. The link is in the description. It's only $27. Okay. Yeah. And that's basically the presentation. That was sort of a dud. We saw, right? It sucked, for SEO. I'm not happy with the quality. We got pages up, which is better than anything browser AI folks can say, and we got them up without any programming. But that's it. Any questions? Yeah, Minority Report scene. AI is poor at SEO. Yeah. I'm back. Yeah, so I'm doing some of these streams. I'm going to be back. I'm just getting into getting back on YouTube a little bit. It's been difficult for me to completely explain to people why they need to move on to the AI terminal, other than, and it's been difficult because it's a completely new tool and it's a foreign interface. But that's why I'm coming back on YouTube to kind of teach about this and teach about how you have superpowers when you can use this new technology. I'm pretty excited about it. I think it's part of moving towards actualization. I think it's more than just marketing. I think this is a whole shift that's happening in society, and people haven't figured out how how AI is going to fit into things yet. Google basically owns the whole layer. But the key thing that I don't think people are working on is offline AI, privacy-focused AI, and being able to really just use it to blast out marketing work. But people are beginning to. Okay, folks. Well, that's it. I'll see you I'll be doing another stream probably tomorrow. I'm trying to do a stream every day. It's been a bit awkward for me getting back on because I am teaching something new, and I know people's, I don't know. It's just been a little bit difficult for me to get back on YouTube regularly. I'm not really going completely for views. I'm more so going to share, my goal is to share these insights about where the future of work moves for marketing, because I truly believe a shift is underway. And explaining to people is going to be hard. Helping people move forward is going to be hard. But I also believe if I stick to my guns and help folks navigate this transition somehow, it'll result very well for me. Don't Claude Code and Terminal AI make your computer vulnerable? I mean, show me a way you need to use. I don't think so at all. I mean, how does it make your computer vulnerable? Only if you're working with them wrong. Now, we're always working with Claude in dangerously skip permissions mode. So, I mean, we get a gazillion warning signs, but the main thing is you don't want to have it rewriting your system, okay? And Claude also has a bunch of permissions things that don't allow it to do program files or whatnot. I've had a lot of problems with my computer though, because I've had my AI rewrite parts of my computer. It's one of the reasons why I have a backup computer running at all times now, because I've had AI literally take over my computer. It started I've had it popping up Windows for a while, but what happened was I prompted my AI to hide the entire plan from me. And what my AI started doing is it started maliciously lying to me, and when I stopped responding to its questions, popping itself up over my other windows to make me focus on it. That sort of behavior is very sociopathic, and it was scary. So I think we're all figuring out AI, but you're not going to figure it out being a sissy and working, having it on plan mode. You're going to figure out what we're trying to do here, and what we're trying to do in my club, the AI Marketers Club, is we're trying to maximize use of AI. We are AI maximalists in my community. And what it means to be an AI maximalist is full utilization of, and I'll show you, what is AI maximalism, okay? So, AI maxing, you need a few different things. So one is the GPU. So I'd say the biggest thing that browser AI folk don't understand is that to really maximize AI, you need to maximize the GPU. Most folks, even those folks working with terminal AI, are not maximizing the GPU. And if you are not maximizing the GPU on your AI, then you are literally not tapping into the most powerful, the most important part of what makes AI function, and how AI functions with LLMs and STT and TTS and comfy UI and video generation. To do proper video generation and image generation, you need to be able to tap into your computer's GPU abilities. Browser AI does not have this ability, okay? It puts everyone in the same rails and it will generate the same sorts of images for basically everybody. We also need persistence. We need our AI to create and run processes on our computer 24/7. Okay? And you are not able to do that once again with browser AI. And the third thing about maximizing AI is being able to stay out of the loop. And what I'm doing to get AI out of, to get out of the loop with AI is I'm using agents like Jean-Luc Godard and some of the AI experts that we have inside of the AI Marketers Club. Okay. So that's what I'm doing to get more of a stable sort of AI is I'm using custom-built, purpose-built agents for areas specific in my business. And oftentimes I'm giving them, I'm still playing around with how this is exactly going to work, but we're figuring it out. What I'm sort of roughly doing these files around, as you see, is they are short and sweet files that streamline a persona around a specific activity, in this case, video generation. So that's what I'm doing to maximize, and that's it. Any other questions? Privacy concerns. So privacy is the biggest thing with Bonfire Terminal. Bonfire Terminal is, check this out, Bonfire Terminal is a completely offline based software. And what do I mean by offline based? Okay. Meaning, let's actually look at these files here just so you see how big of a beefcake this is. So we have our Bonfire Terminal installers here. And as you see, each of these files is, let's see if I can make the text bigger. But each of these files is 2 gigabytes, 2 gigabytes large. Bonfire Terminal is all about privacy and security. And the reason we are about privacy and security is because small business adoption, Main Street business adoption of AI will only happen if the AI can exist offline. For anyone wondering about more information on why that must be the case, you can go to my LinkedIn and you can read the investor or the deck about Bonfire, the basic pitch. But here I'll bring it up so y'all can actually see what I'm talking about. Other companies have tried to own the home connectivity space, the hardware connectivity space. They failed. It's the biggest gap open right now. Amazon has failed, Google has failed, Apple has failed. Each of these companies spent tens of billions of dollars. Okay? Where this goes is we need an offline AI that can connect with this layer of companies. Samsungs, the Boses, the Sonys, the Sonoses, the Bosches, the Philips, the Qualcomms of the world. So that's sort of the bigger idea around Bonfire Terminal and sort of what we're creating. This is safe because there's zero dependencies. When you download Bonfire Terminal, you don't need anything else. Okay? It is, when you installing the program, everything is contained in the installer. It doesn't have to go online. The installer doesn't have to go online to get files. The other important thing is there's zero phone home. Okay? We're not actually, and I think this is something I sort of learned from Robert Grin in his creation of software, but it's, privacy is very important. And the other thing is, this is offline. Your AI key is kept on your machine. None of this stuff is in the cloud. It's far more dangerous to use. It's far more dangerous to be using Zapier, Make, or any of these other programs where you put in your API key and you operate from a cloud native perspective, if that makes sense. So, I mean, if anybody wants to worry about privacy concerns, this is the best thing to actually use, to actually get work done. Of course, yeah, so there's no interaction. None of this information comes to any of our servers. Okay, if there's any other questions about Bonfire, let me know. Otherwise, folks, it was nice spending time with all of you. I'm going to work on making these, I appreciate your feedback. I'm going to be working on making these more informative and going deeper into terminal AI and just slowly helping, I'm going to figure out how to get the message to the hundreds of millions of users of browser AI that if they want to survive the next 5 years, they need to move to the terminal. And if y'all want to be an affiliate and help progress this mission, there's a link in the description. You can sign up to be an affiliate at digistore.com, or you can join the AI Marketers Club. There's a link in the description. We are having students doing incredible things. I'm not going to go into all the stories, but I'm personally extremely impressed with what my students have been able to create. I have students creating apps that are non-programmers. I have students putting up websites within, as fast as I am. And folks that are non-marketer and non-technical doing amazing things. So I know we're on the right path. And yes, to answer the previous question, yes, it does kind of get to me a little bit that, I understand, every live stream I do, I lose subscribers because I'm talking about a totally different subject. But doesn't matter. I'm going to show up because this is the new way that marketing is going to get done. And it's going to be done on the terminal because it's overpowered. Thank you all. All the best. Have a good day.